Hello Queens, welcome to another episode. This is an episode request today that I've had from a very good friend of mine, and I have spoken about this quite a lot, but I've turned it into a full episode now for you lovely people. So it's called High Standards, Low Expectations, and this quote is originally from my coach, Chanee Momoko. And I loved it when I heard it, and I preach it all the time, and I just want to go into detail about what it actually means. So, high standards and low expectations equals peace of mind. I'm sure many of you, many times, have been in situations where the feeling of disappointment is so deep that it's almost physically painful, whether that is disappointment in yourself, disappointment in other people, or in a situation. It can be anything, any form of disappointment, and disappointment often has friends that show up alongside disappointment. And I'm talking anger, guilt, frustration, annoyance, and suffering, just to name a few. And disappointment is the gap between expectation and reality. So disappointment is the gap between expectation and reality. Okay, so what is a girl to do? If you don't want to go through life constantly being disappointed, or the possibility of being regularly disappointed by having your standards high and your expectations high, but we don't, at the same time, we don't want to turn into a pessimist and just think of the worst case scenario the whole time, what are you supposed to do then? So that, my friend, is a good question, which is why I've done this episode. So, which is why I'm going to share with you as well one of my favourite mindset tools, which is the quote, high standards, low expectations. So the first part I want to talk about this is the meaning of standards and then your worthiness level. Because first of all, what does the word standard actually mean in the context that I'm talking about right now? So, and secondly, do you feel worthy of the high standard that you want to set for yourself? And by the way, just a hint, you are worthy of all the highest standards that there is, just in case you didn't know, yet you actually are worthy. So standard, what does it mean? Standard means a level of quality or attainment. So it's all to do with high quality, high standard, like high accepting the best. So when we say I've set my standards high, we're basically saying this is the standard that I have set for myself or you. I am worthy and deserving of receiving and experiencing this high quality experience, or this high quality relationship, or this high quality life. So let me just read that again. This is the standard that I have set for myself or for you. I am worthy and deserving of receiving and experiencing this high quality experience, relationship, or life. When we set our own standards, we set them through our past conditioning and our past experiences, like many of the things we do in our life comes from that, and how worthy we feel as a human being. And you can increase your worthiness by increasing your self-love and doing the inner work that's needed to set the standard high and to raise it for yourself. So if you don't feel worthy of high standards to begin with, for yourself and for your life, then what you'll do is you'll set low standards, and then you will always expect negative expectations, negative outcomes all the time. This correlates to the self-esteem circle. So on my blog, I have a little diagram. You've got low self-esteem, which leads to negative expectations always. And there's a difference between low expectations and negative expectations. So low self-esteem, negative expectations, low effort and feeling stressed leads to that, which leads to failure to achieve goals, so poor performance, which leads to feeling low and being self-critical, which then ignites the feeling of low self-esteem. So it's like its own feedback loop. But I'm not here to talk today about self-esteem specifically, not today. I can do another episode on that another time. But I wanted to put that in because I thought it was important when I was talking about the standards we set for ourselves. Okay, so a good tip, because there's two main tips really in this quote or this mindset shift of high standards, low expectations. And the first shift and way to perceive things going forward is detach yourself from any outcome. So what do I mean by that? We can set ourselves high standards for ourselves and for our lives and for other people, right? Without feeling disappointed if these things don't turn out that way in reality. We can do that. And one way, like I was sharing with you, is to detach yourself from the outcome and instead focus on your daily choices and actions and celebrate those actions and choices instead of the outcome. Because this way, you're letting go of the control, because we can't control anything actually apart from our inner world, our thoughts and our actions. So you're letting go of control, you're letting go of forcing the outcome, which you're not in control of anyway. At the same time, you're doing all the things that you can to reach that desired outcome, but you've not attached yourself to that outcome. So I'm going to give you an example in a moment, but when we set a high standard, let's say, so this is the example coming, let's say you've set a goal to work out 5 days a week, and the reason for that working out 5 days a week is that you want to increase your strength by 10% at the end of the month. So you'll know that you've accomplished this goal because at the end of the month, you'll be able to lift weights that are 10% heavier than what you're currently lifting now, right? But what if, at the end of the month, you can't lift those heavy weights yet you have stuck to your weight training schedule, you've done all the things. How are you going to feel? If you set your expectation to the outcome as high as your standards, then you will surely feel immense disappointment. You may even think, do you know what, screw this. I've done all that effort and I can't even lift the weights that I wanted to lift. You won't celebrate what you actually have improved on, and you may stop weight training altogether. Whereas if you detached yourself from the outcome, which is the low expectations part of that equation, but instead you celebrated your actions that you took every single day, your actions every day are the high standards you set for yourself, then you will most likely feel proud for all that you did manage to do, and you'd probably keep moving forward towards that goal anyway. You probably feel a little bit, nah, that's a bit annoying, but it's not going to cause you great emotional pain. Can you see the difference? And the second biggest step to implement in this mindset shift, apart from detaching yourself from the outcome with high standards, low expectations, is life happens. Right, another way to live by high standards, low expectations. How many times have I said that saying right now? I'll say it again. High standards, low expectations is to understand that life happens. Here's an example. If you have set your expectations as high as your standards, so this is the example coming up now. Let's say you made a promise to yourself to get up at 5:30 a.m. every day, every weekday. And then when you get up at 5:30 a.m. every day, you're going to complete your morning routine. And the reason you do this or want to do this is because this particular morning routine sets you up for the day and makes you feel great, makes you feel amazing. But today, as an example, your phone wasn't plugged in properly overnight, which meant your battery died, so your alarm didn't wake you up. This caused you to miss over half of your morning routine, and you feel annoyed, angry at yourself or your phone or your partner because somehow it's their fault, right, as well, for some reason or other. And your mindset is, oh, it's one of those days, I'm having one of those days, right? That's if that situation, that example, is if you were setting your standards and your expectations the same level. Whereas on the other hand, if the same example now, but this time you've set your standards high, yet you've kept your expectations lower, You wake up late because, like we said, your alarm hasn't gone off because your phone's died. But instead of being pissed off that you've missed half of your routine, what you do is you take a few deep breaths, you understand that life happens, you pick out the most important things from your morning routine, do what you can of them. So even if you did like in your normal routine, maybe you did like 20 minutes of journaling, 20 minutes of yoga, 20-minute walk outside, whatever it is, maybe you do like 5 minutes of journaling, 10 minutes of yoga, and just sit outside and take a few deep breaths to get the fresh air in, right? So you improvise. So you understand that life happens, you pick out the things you can do, and then you actually celebrate yourself for making the most of the time that you had, and then you get on with your day. You're not saying, oh, it's one of those days, I've got out of the wrong side of the bed, it's my partner's fault for switching the plug off at the switch, or whatever. Can you see the difference? So high standards, low expectations equals peace of mind, right? However, I want to make this really clear. This is not a free pass to drop your standards. So the mindset, high standards, low expectations, there it is again. It's not a free pass to just drop your standards and only expect the worst, right? It's a mindset shift, and it can radically help you to live with peace of mind, and it will encourage you to keep moving forward in your life with high standards. There's another truth bomb coming up right now. Are you listening? Are you ready? The difference between expectations and standard is that you can lower your expectations without sacrificing your self-esteem. I'm going to say that again. So good. The difference between expectations and standards is that you can lower your expectations without sacrificing your self-esteem. I don't think we can say the same for our standards. While our circumstances are often out of our control, both of these attributes are not, so we can set them deliberately, which leads me nicely into perfection. Perfection is where high standards meet high expectations, and this can lead to procrastination and eventually paralysis, the dreaded 3 Ps. So perfection, procrastination and paralysis. So look that up. In fact, I might actually do an episode on that soon. So perfectionism is not helpful. Nothing is perfect. Not a job, not a friendship, not a house, not a spouse. That rhymes. I'm a poet, I didn't even know it. Nothing lasts forever. No possessions, no happiness. Life doesn't last forever, and certainly chocolate doesn't either, which is really sad. But things don't last forever. Things aren't perfect, okay? So remove yourself with practice from the perfectionist mindset, the black and white thinking, the all or nothing thinking. Binge diet cyclists, or should I say diet binge cyclists, I see you, I feel you, I was also one of them, just point it out there. That's the black or white thinking, that the diet mentality you have. And practice instead adopting high standards and low expectations for yourself and others. But what about others then? What about other people? So this high standards, low expectations can be the whole kind of everything you interact with, life, people, yourself, all of these things. You can use this to your advantage. So having high standards for the people that you let into your life, but have low expectations for everyone, including the ones that you let into your life. High standards in regards to people, relationships, partners, friends, whatever. Make sure you're not welcoming trouble into your life. You know, what do you want in a relationship? Get clear on what you want. What do you think you are worthy of? Again, there's that worthiness meter, right? If you don't think you're worthy of a person treating you with respect and love, then do the inner work on your self-love, and then you'll attract the person that you believe you're deserving of receiving, if that makes sense. And if you're attracting people into your life and you notice that there's any red flags, and your inner being, your intuition, your heart saying, get the fuck out now, then listen to your intuition and don't allow people in that don't feel good to you. It helps me to think of people as givers or takers. Okay, so givers will work with you. They'll be there for you. They're actually interested in your well-being, whereas takers are only looking at you as something to serve them. So someone to lean on, something to borrow, something to keep them from feeling lonely. So they want something from you. And if you do encounter people like this, or if someone close to you is a taker, remember it's not your job to fix them or to give them everything either. So just be curious and careful of who you let into your life in the first place with the standards. And having low expectations with other people allows you to be surprised and delighted when your friend or partner is awesome, but then not let down when they don't live up to your ideal version of them that you have in your head. There are some truly amazing people out there, but they are not perfect. There are a few things that are going to annoy you about that person or people, whatever. But you have to make the decision if the relationship is worth it or not. It's actually unfair to put this expectation on people that you believe that they should be perfect with no flaws. That's a lot of pressure, and any person is going to feel that pressure of having to live up to your unrealistic expectations that you've projected onto them. So again, when it comes down to, do the person's flaws outweigh their good points? And I have legit written out pros and cons as a list with past relationships before, because I've just been moaning about this and then, but this is good. And I've literally had to be like, do you know what? I'm going to get it down on paper, good points, bad points, and then it helps me make my decision. So try that. And lastly, and most importantly, this is really important before I finish this, make sure that you, as a person, make sure that you match what you expect in others in quality. Make sure you have the same qualities that you desire in others, and make sure you don't have any red flags like bad habits, temper, emotionally unstable, or dependence on other people. Look at your life and look at yourself and decide if you would want to be in a relationship with yourself first before you expect others to. So I'll leave you with that. If you would like help adapting this mindset perspective into your own life, then explore the ways that you can work with me by either going to my blog and clicking on the link there, emailing me. I love to hear from you. Connect with me on social media, Victoria Kleinsman. And until next time, you can absolutely have it all. Mwah.